Grand Rising. Welcome to Spiritual Journey with Coach Renz, and today we're going to talk about the true law of attraction. It was so timely because one of my subscribers on YouTube, which if you're not a subscriber on my YouTube channel, Lorenzo Reed, or my other YouTube channel that is geared towards finance and relationship, Coach Renz, then I asked you to go over and join it because this discussion just so happened to come at the exact same time one of my subscribers asked about the law of attraction. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the law of attraction, what it really is, the law of attraction, and what a lot of spiritual teachers are co-opting now and adding to their own teachings. We're going to be using this book, The Kybalion, K-Y-B-A-L-I-O-N, Kybalion, Kybalion. But the Kybalion is a Hermetic philosophy that comes from the Emerald Tablets, the writing of Thoth. So we're going to talk about those for a minute. I'm going to give people a few minutes to log on. When you come on, please just state who you are. We're simulcasting on Facebook, in a private group in Facebook, and then over on YouTube. So, let's do some sharing. Please share the video, share the live. Let's get people in here. That'd be cool myself. Can't ask y'all to share, and if I'm not sharing, that's not right. My Coach Ren's page as well, but it doesn't seem like that's gonna happen. So let's do some sharing. We're gonna get started right at the 3-minute and 33-second mark, just because 3:33. Gonna get started right then. We're gonna talk about the 7 Hermetic principles. We're gonna break them down in general. Which is the actual true law of attraction. The true law of attraction is not just the first part, but we're going to break it down to the all 7 laws, Hermetic laws, which come from the Emerald Tablets. And then we're going to go a little bit deeper. We're going to look at how you combine the laws to create what people commonly refer to as blessings and miracles, so that you can understand how to create, or sorry about the keys, how to create blessings and miracles for yourself. What's up, Nemo? How you doing? Just come on in, let me know where you are, who you are, as we get ready to get started here in 33 seconds. We're going to get started in 33 seconds. Gotta have that morning coffee. Trying to drink it now before it gets cold, because I know I can be talking and forget. And like I said, I'm going to break this down. For those who don't really know me, if you're just finding me for the first time on YouTube, and even if you find me for the first time in this private group, if you're new to it, every Sunday we're going to do a spiritual journey. And my training, my understanding, my study comes from multiple sources. I am not a one source spiritual journey itself, nor a one source spiritual instructor, teacher, whatever you want to call it. Since I've studied everything from the Christian Bible to the Tao, the Bhagavad Gita, to ancient Sumerian, Egyptian. If it's been there, if I had an opportunity to get my hands on it, I've studied it in one form or fashion. Visit museums. I was the nerd kid who would actually read journals from anthropologists and archaeologists and historians and things like that. So yeah, it is what it is. So it's past that 3:33 mark. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about the law of attraction. And first we need to understand what is the law of attraction based on most people's current understanding, and how this is being taught in other organizations, other groups, right? I'm glad you called me, Tyrone. So the law of attraction really is an old teaching. It's an old teaching, period. But it's also an old teaching even in Western standards and Western understanding. It is something that wealthy people and highly powerful people have always been teaching, and teaching their children and passing along and maintaining their power and their wealth and that sort of thing. It is something that the masses has gained an understanding of through religion. And to quote Seneca, the Greco-Roman philosopher, he said that religion is true to the masses. For the masses, religion is true. For the wise, it is false. For the powerful, it is a tool. The law of attraction is falling under that same kind of guise. It has been well established and been out there for a very, 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 very long time, longer than any of us have been alive. But alive in this existence, I should say. It was held on by the powerful, used as a tool. use as a mechanism, a way to continue to build their wealth and build their power, continue to influence the world, period. To the wise, they realize what it could be used for and how to teach it, but to the masses, it's been pretty much just something that they hope for, that has been taught within the in-between lines of their religions. So, which means they really don't know, that most people really don't know how to use it. Now, some years ago, maybe a decade or 2 decades ago, this young lady from Australia, she gets these other motivational speakers and pastors and whatnot to come alongside, and she wrote this book called The Secret. And they did a video, a movie, audio, and they came out with The Secret, right? Thanks, appreciate that. They came out with the Secret. Now, in The Secret, I thought one thing was strange. Since Wayne Dyer was one of the main proponents of the law of attraction before it was called the law of attraction, he was not part of that video series nor book, so I thought it was interesting. But then once I read it and understood it, once I read it, I realized why not, because it wasn't deep enough for him. And Wayne Dyer is somebody that I've studied for a very long time, or listened to for a long time. But as it goes with The Secret really embodies a portion of the first Hermetic law. But they wanted to call that the law of attraction. You know, Napoleon Hill talked about Think and Grow Rich. All these books telling you to think your way into something is what the law of attraction was called, based on The Secret. So it was really, you think your way into having wealth, you think your way into having romance, you think your way into health, you think your way. In religious circles, this is called speaking something into existence, or the power of the tongue, or just prayer and meditation. It is just the idea that you get an idea, a concept in your mind, and you keep that concept in your mind. You just keep thinking about it, and keep thinking about it. But what happens if you're sitting at home? Why, people? Why? Good morning. What happens when you're sitting at home and you're thinking about, I need that financial blessing, I need that miracle, I need that financial blessing, I need that miracle? 99.9% of the time, nothing happens. That a check just doesn't come in the mail. I know you've been to programs, seminars, churches, mosques, whatever, and people have said, oh yeah, I was praying and I was in this situation, and Allah, brought forth that check. The great cosmic karma brought me that check because I did a good thing earlier that day, or something. Jesus brought me that check. There's always somebody giving a testimony based on them receiving that check, and everybody else goes home thinking that I'm going to receive that check, I'm going to receive that check. The story of the person who's been single their whole life, and I'm going to forget that relationship, that man, that man, that woman, and it's going to be blissful and nice and loving, and then that couple stands up in front of everybody and talk about how they met, but then how they went over their trials and tribulations and the sweetness of their life, and it's because they got this foundation on just knowing and thinking about their relationship and their love and all this sort of thing. And you go home and you sit there and you think and meditate. I recall about 10 years ago, I was sitting in a church, and it was interesting. I was going to this church because my kid's mother wanted them to still go to church, and we were separated. We were separated, divorced. So I would take them to this church. And I remember one Sunday, the pastor was talking about, ladies, your husband is coming. Your husband is coming. We're going to talk about that kind of stuff too. Your husband is coming. He's on the way. Go home and get your house ready for your husband. Clean your house up. Organize your house. Get your house ready for your husband. Because your husband is coming. Get the picture in your mind of your husband. Walk down the street with your husband. Come in the house and entertain life with your husband. Be intimate with your husband. Have all these things about your husband in your life. And I remember sitting there thinking, it's going to be a whole bunch of disappointed women. So, a couple of my friends, they went home, cleaned their house, organized their house, cleaned their house, organized their house, got themselves ready, would sit there and pray about their husband, pray for their husband. I don't know where you at, husband. I don't even know your name yet, husband. But I know that, the pastor said God is sending you to me and everything, so I'm just praying that you're safe right now, husband. I'm praying that everything is going well for you right now, husband. I'm praying for you that your money is right, husband, that your loving is right, husband, and I'm praying for you, husband, so that you can come knock on my door, husband, So they're doing all this praying and meditating. They all still single. 10 years ago, they all still single. They've had relationships, but they all still single. Their husband ain't came yet. Oh, you gotta pray without ceasing. Their husband ain't came yet. So what a lot of religions have done today is co-opted the idea of the Hermetics, the 7 principles of the Hermetics, and made them into a portion of their religion, but only the first part. And the law of attraction just took the first part, which is the law of mentalism. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And right now, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a brief. You really should, if you can read the Emerald Tablets, you should read the Emerald Tablets anyway, which is where the Hermetics come from, which where, you can call them the Hermetic principles, because it's from Kemet, or you can call the Hermetic, which is from the Greek. Either way is Thoth. The idea of Hermetic and Kemetic is Thoth reincarnating as Thoth, but then later reincarnating as Hermes Trismegistus, which means the messenger 3 times born, which Thoth, what's up, Key? How you doing, Key? You remember that too, Alexander? So Thoth, Egyptian, but also adapted by the Greeks. Not that, and please let's not get into a whole plagiarism thing. Thoth himself said in the Emerald Tablet that he reincarnates over and over again in different areas, different places, that he established colonies all over the world. This is what he wrote, what is written in the Emerald Tablet. So there's not a debate of one group stealing another, because the information is still the same. But if reading the Emerald Tablets is a little too much, because it can be, but I suggest you read it multiple times, then get this book, The Kabbalion. Hold it so y'all can get it. And so wait for me to cheat and get some coffee. 80 years old and still married. Yep. Still waiting. Still waiting. Yep. Your aunt is still waiting, because that's what they said. Because they're only teaching them the first part, the law of mentalism. So you guys, you got that Kabbalion. If you don't, just come back and rewind. 12 minutes, 36 seconds. Come back and rewind. So the Kabbalion. Kabbalion is written by 3. It's written by 3 initiates into the Hermetic way, into the schools of Akhenaten, into the mystery school, the Tat Brotherhood, what everybody came out of during the time of Akhten in Egypt. So they broke down the Emerald Tablets into 7 Hermetic laws which govern the entire universe. Of course, some of these that I'm going to go over briefly here has a tremendous amount of depth. If you're on my Patreon account, which is Coach Rand, patreon.com/Coach Rand, then you know that I did a deep video series on the Kabbalion, which, even though there's 7 Hermetic principles, I think that there's like 11 videos based on it. And the law of mentalism takes up like at least 4 videos. But at this point, we're going to go ahead and do a brief description of the Hermetic laws. Then I will show you how to combine those laws and how they function with each other in order for you to actually manifest. If you want to manifest a husband, I'm going to tell you how to manifest a husband. If you want to manifest some money, I'm going to show you how to manifest the money. If you want to manifest your great health, I'm going to show you how to manifest some great health. If you want to manifest some healing in your body, I'm going to show you how to manifest some healing. I'm going to show you how to change your entire life just by truly understanding the 7 Hermetic principles. So, the first one, and I'm going from my notes, not the book itself. Oh, sorry, I almost covered you. I forgot I was simulcasting for a second. So the first one, the law of mentalism, based on the Kabbalion. And for a law of mentalism is mental transmutation. The axiom is that all is mind. Everything is mind. Everything is mental, right? So that's the first one. Let me do a test real quick. All right. Now, all is mind. All creation begins with a mental thought. The creation then is neither part of or comes from the source, but it is all mental. This is the master key, right? Now for me, I wrote that little short piece, but that tells me everything I need to understand about the law of mentalism for myself, because I've studied this book and the Emerald Tablets over and over again. But the all is a mental creation. Everything starts with you thinking about it first. The Wright brothers doesn't build a plane without first having the concept of the plane, the thought of the plane, the imagery of flying. You have to think of it first. When these smartphones were developed, somebody had to have a mental image of What if we can make this phone that acts like a computer and it has, you know, this, we know Windows got this GUI screen. We put all these little kind of like icon things on there, and we're able to tap it and it opens up a source program, and we can, you know, communicate with people and also keep tab of this and keep tab of that and do this and do that. You know, you had to have this mental image first beforehand. So yes, have the mental image of your husband, wife, have a mental image of the money, have a mental image of the lifestyle. Like, I have a mental image. See, I don't like, you know, I buy a house, but I really don't want a house. But I'll, you know, depend on who I'm with, who I marry. But my mental image is standing on the balcony on the 20th, 30th floor of a condo, and I like wearing suits, in a nice suit, you know, looking over the balcony, seeing the skyline. It's a nice, calm, you know, fall evening, glass of wine, just in total peace. And my beautiful bride just walks out in her evening gown. Evidently, we're getting ready to go somewhere that's nice, you know, a play or something that's really, really nice. And she's coming in, and we're just talking, and we're just enjoying each other's moments. I have that image in my head. That image also means that there's a certain amount of money that's being made. There's a certain amount of business being made. There's a certain amount of peace that I have. There's a certain amount of joy that I have in what I do. Oftentimes when I have this image, I think that we're going to an event where I'm speaking, because that's what I love to do. So it's everything like that. And I've had images of coming on, you know, my wife introducing me, and I'm coming on stage and I'm speaking to 10, 20,000 people, and I hear the words and I feel it. And that's another thing about the law of mentalism. They say just think of the check, but you got to feel it. You got to smell it. Know what it feels like in your hands. Know what it smells like. What does it make you feel like? You got to use all your senses has to come into play in order for you to truly feel and know the law of mentalism. Otherwise, it's just a thought on your conscious level brain. But what you have to do is get it into your subconscious. You have to get it into the deeper portions of your brain. You know, I always point back here for the subconscious, but you got to get it in that deep part of your brain to where it becomes real. Jim Rohn talked about how when he wanted to build this house, and after he bought the land, he would take people up to the house and he would describe the house in such detail that the other people that he brought started seeing it, started smelling the biscuits cooking in the oven, started seeing the pie resting on the windowsill. Tell you how old Jim Rohn is. But he would tell you, you know, he would describe it in such detail and give you such a feel for it, a knowing for it, that you couldn't help but see it yourself. So the law of mentalism, the main portion as far as the law of attraction is concerned, is to get into that kind of a mindset. And that mindset also, the law in that, when you'll understand the divine paradox, which is all is but all is not. We are of the matter plane. So for instance, the melanation of my skin denotes a race as far as the matter plane is concerned. But I know that I am an energetic being. That this is just a shell, the poverty of, I call it the poverty of the flesh. That this is poverty, because the spirit is so much more than the flesh is. It can do so much more. So race exists on this plane of existence, but as soon as I leave this plane of existence, there is no race. There is no race. Tyrone Lewis said, connection of the mind and the heart. That is true. Now, if we was talking about chakras, Tyrone, we would get deep into that connection, because because I would want you to understand the gut, the mind, and the heart. The power chakra, the heart chakra, and the third eye. Each require a certain, well, not the power chakra, sorry, your sacral chakra, heart chakra, third eye chakra. And each require a 90-degree turn of thought, of understanding, in order for you to truly access either one of them. Don't get me started. I'm not going to go there. We're going to stick where we at. Maybe next week we'll do the chakra system. Okay? But I can easily get distracted. But so it's about having that clear mental picture. Now it gets into, when you read the Kabbalion, when you read the Understanding Emerald Tablets, it will get into what the all is. That the all created all things through mental thought, right? Through a mental projection. This is, people like to say we're in a simulation, and to a certain degree I agree. Because I see it as a projection, a simulation created by the infinite mind. Not an infinite mind that exists in a corporal form that has a body, but an infinite intelligent mind that just says, here it is. You determine if you utilize these tools for what you would describe as good or evil, because what some people say is good, others say is evil. What some people say is evil, others say is good. So, but of course, I do believe there is a baseline of good and evil. The baseline is if it hurts somebody else, if it deprives somebody else of their rights and their ability to find their own peace and happiness and achieve, then it's evil. But if it doesn't, it's fine. It's fine. Two people want to live in a house together and not get legally married with some paperwork. Who are they hurting? It's fine. Two people want to be in the same house and one person is beating on the other person. That's not fine. That's not good. So keep that mental imagery. So the all, it talks about the all in all. That the all is everything, but the all is not everything. We are not part of the all, because if we were, if my keys were part of the all, then my keys will have a consciousness that knows that it is the all. But since my keys does not have a consciousness at that level, then it does not know it is part of the all, because this exists in the mental, the elemental level of mentality. And there's different levels of mentality, and so it's a lot. So I want you guys to go and study that part. But for this purpose only of manifesting things in your life, get a clear picture, a clear image. Know it, feel it, smell it, embody it. The more you embody it, the more your subconscious brain believes it. And then the more your subconscious brain, your true spirit being, starts to be able to access the other laws and access even every plane of existence to be able to manifest what it is in your life. And we got three primary levels of consciousness understanding, and that goes to the law of correspondence, which is the next one, the law of correspondence. I said I was gonna make these brief, but I'm long-winded, so forgive me. But I'm gonna make each one brief, so we can get into how to combine them. So the law of correspondence. This is where you commonly hear people say, "As above, so below," right? And that's what that means. But it's the law of correspondence. It says this is harmony, agreement, and correspondence between the planes. The physical plane, the mental plane, the spiritual plane. This is why you guys hear me say planes of existence all the time. What you influence on one level is influenced on the other. So you know how people are in churches and they will hear people say that, you know, you gotta get the spirit world working for you so that things can happen for you on this level, that you're walking and living on your grandmother's, grandfather's, your mother's prayers, that your ancestors, you know, you're standing on their shoulders of your ancestors, the prayers and the vibrations of your ancestors. This is understanding the different planes, the physical, mental, and the spiritual. This poverty of the flesh is on the physical plane. Of course, there's the mental plane, the plane of thought and vibration. The spiritual plane, the plane of your energetic being, where true understanding is. This can also be related to Jacob's ladder, the 7 levels, that spirits descending and ascending, or the different levels of heaven based on the Islamic teachings. But every teaching talks about different levels of understanding and levels of existence. Whether it's Buddhist, doesn't matter, Hindu, they all teach this. Sumerians, Hermetic, these are all taught. You know, even when you go across the river with Asar in Egyptian, you are then living a life, a spiritual life that is similar to your physical life, but you have knowledge of all these things. So ancient civilizations have always taught this, but what we do is to understand how all this stuff works together as far as the mental and the law of mentalism and correspondence. That you have to influence your spirit person in order for things to happen on the mental plane. On the mental and the physical plane, you have to influence your mental person to establish things on the physical plane. So most of the time we want to manifest in the law of attraction things on this level here. But in order to manifest those things, we have to be in understanding of what we can do to affect those different planes. This is where, yes, prayers, meditations come into play. This is where those who practice magic, and I don't go for the white magic, dark magic thing. Magic is just magic. Those who practice magic, which is really just utilizing science that you don't understand, right? But having a way of connecting with that science that you just don't fully understand how it works, but you have just enough. It's like before gravity was truly realized, they had enough understanding that if you drop something, it falls. We don't really know why, but it does. So we're going to use that to create pulley systems. Okay? So, and be able to lift stuff using pulley systems. But so that's the law of correspondence in brief. In brief, the law of vibration. Nothing is at rest. Everything has a level of movement. Matter, energy, mind, spirit are all manifesting different vibrations. The higher the state, the higher the vibration. Vibration can change based on the will, or by focusing on a more desirable state. So vibration is basically everything moves. This is vibrating. This is moving. This is moving. All right. So, hey, how you doing? This is moving. This is not still. This has movement to it. But it's on the matter plane, and it's moving so slowly that it forms into a spoon. That we've been able to form it into a spoon. Your vibration, again, is like your prayers and your meditations. It's the thought energy. Everything has matter. They used to believe that space was empty, but space actually has matter. The air you're breathing, there is matter. So everything is vibrating at different levels. It is understanding the law of vibration. And then people, you'll hear people now talking about, oh yeah, we're in the same vibration, or we're on the same frequency. Frequency is the sound that the vibration makes. If you guys saw a video I posted on Facebook a while back, last week rather, I posted a video where this lady hooked up something to a sunflower, and you heard the frequencies of it. Those frequencies is just the sound that the vibration is the sound waves of the vibration that's being made. So when people say we're on the same frequency, this is to say we're of like mind. We're in the same mental state, right? And that mental state can produce you give you a different result of manifestation based on your choices, based on your will. All right, so that's the law of vibration in short. In short, there is the law of polarity. See, we're gonna go fast now so we can start combining these. The law of polarity. Everything is dual. All things have two poles of opposites. There are multiple degrees in between. There are no all truths. All are but half truth, and every truth is a half false. All paradoxes may be reconciled where you stand. Reconciled where you stand, and your perception leaves. Can't read my own handwriting. Your own perception. Oh, well, I don't know what I said. Wrote right here, but it leans heavily on the degree. That's what I said. All your perceptions leans heavily on the degree. So there's the law of polarity. There's wealthy and there's poverty. There's wealth and there's poverty, and then there's a whole bunch of levels in between. Okay, there's love and there's hate, and there's a whole bunch of levels in between. There's hot, there's extreme hot, and there's extreme cold, and a bunch of levels in between. The deal is with polarity is that something must be of the same scale. You can't have a scale of hot and broke and poverty. Hot and poverty. You can't have, hate and wealth. Theirs are different poles, so you can't vibrate on the same. Now, do you have to have different poles functioning in order to manifest something, some complex thing? Yes. But when you're looking at this, you have to understand at first, what pole are you on? Once you understand the pole you're on, the substance that you're talking about, then you can determine where you are on the pole, and from there, this is where vibration and polarity works together to create the law of polarization. And we'll talk about that, but which is also part of the law of rhythm. But so understand that everything is on a pole. So there's no such thing as hot or cold. There's just different degrees in between. Because at 78 degrees, you may be hot. But at 78 degrees, another person may be cold. So it's a half truth and a half false. And everything have half truths and half false. There is no full absolutes to one end or the other. None whatsoever. And any subject matter that you broach, I can show you the half false and the half truth. All right? And this is where your perception comes into play, because it leans heavily on the degree that you're on. So then we have the law of rhythm. The fifth law is the law of rhythm. Everything has a flow. All things manifest a measure of motion in the pendulum like motion. The greater the swing to the left, the greater the swing to the right. Polarity. What it took to get you to one state, it will take the same to get you to the opposite state, to get to the opposite state. But one can remain on one side by maintaining the vibration of that side. So the law of rhythm is basically the swing. Most of you have swung in your life. You've had great happiness, you've had great sadness. You had a lot of money, you had no money. But usually there is a swing to the right and a swing to the left. So for me, I've been at a point where I spent the whole year as an adult and I only made about $12,000. And then I spent the whole year as an adult and I've made almost $200,000. So my swings have been this big. Other people may have been at 40,000 and 80,000. Their swings is only this big. That is their swing. So the greater the swing to the left, the greater the swing to the right. I'm not saying you have to be abject poverty to get to wealth, but understand that when you research a lot of these people like Mark Cuban, like just some of these people who have become supremely wealthy, they usually, most of them started out, they had between roughness and poverty, something really, down far to the left end of wealth, right? And usually that is their swing. Now some people, once they swing to one side, they learn polarity and they stay in this little rhythm. And then, as they're in this rhythm, they figure out how to swing a little higher. And then they figure out how to swing a little higher. This is where you get people who just continue to grow in whatever the pole that they're in. So that's the law of polarity. Once you figure out this vibration to stay here, then you figure out the vibration to get you here and the vibration to get you here. And you negate that swing to the left. I know y'all can't stand this dude. Well, some people can't stand this dude. A lot of people can't stand this dude, but I'm going to use him as an example. But what we saw is President Trump, 45. If you study him before all this foolery, you saw him become wealthy. I mean, he started out with money. His parents had money. But you saw him grow far higher than his parents. But then he swung all the way far to the left where he was $1 billion in personal debt and his company was $1 billion in debt. But then he swung way back to the other side of billions, farther than he was before. I don't like him as a president, but that just shows the law of rhythm, right? That as far to the left, you can go to the right. Let's leave the politic part out of this video and just use that part for understanding the law of rhythm. Now the key is to stay to the right. So when we was talking about chakras, I use this when I talk about the heart chakra. If your heart, if you can't open your heart up to the availability, the vulnerability of feeling the worst pain of losing love, then you will never feel the greatest joy of attaining love. So if everybody praying for a husband, but you're holding on to reserve to make sure you don't get hurt, you praying for a wife, but you're holding on to make sure she doesn't destroy your life, if you're not open to the greatest form of pain, you will never get to the greatest form of love. Point blank, period. And the key is when you get there, is to keep it. My grandmother used to always tell me, whatever you did to get her, you gotta do twice as much to keep her. Polarity. Keep in that level. Alright? Law of rhythm. The law, and this one is very important. I need you guys to understand this. The law of cause and effect. Alright? I love that the Matrix, the second Matrix movie, Reloaded, talked about this with the Merovingian, and then he swerved it a little bit at the end, but I mean, it was brilliant. Law of cause and effect. There is a cause for every effect. There is no such thing as chance. Chance is the effect without a recognition, without a recognized causal factor or law. For every effect, there is a cause. Everything happens according to law. There are different planes of existence, and the higher dominates the lower. By raising your mental vibration, you become a causer of the lower mental physical plane, a master over the sheep. Remember when I said in correspondence, you got different higher levels of plane and the lower levels of plane, the different ladders of Jacob's ladder, different levels on Jacob's ladder? Cause and effect. Changing your mental vibration effect is the portion of the cause and effect. When people tell me that they experienced a miracle, if you cannot find the causal factor of it, it is because, and that's what we call magic as well, it is because you just don't know what the causal factor is. You just have no idea. When people say, oh, I got a financial blessing, the check came in the mail. Well, did you overpay your taxes? Did you overpay a bill? Did you get a rebate because you paid a deposit to get your electricity started, and then you forgot that in 12 months they'll return your deposit after 12 good payments, or whatever your company does? Did you forget that secured credit card that you got, that they were going to send you back a check after you make 6 good payments? Did you forget those things? Right? Did you forget that those things were coming? And just because they came at a time of need doesn't make it a miracle. It's just all things happen to occur at that same time. That's just the way life was moving. If you were a causal factor in causing yourself to be in an economic depression, the state of depression for a moment, but you did something a while back that in a time it brought you that check. Now imagine if that check came at a time, but you had never allowed yourself to fall into the economic depression. Then that check just came. Now you would call it a blessing, because not a miracle, but now it's a blessing, because now you can go and take that check and do even more. So if you had maintained great finances the whole time frame, you would have never been in need. You wouldn't need a miracle. You wouldn't need a blessing. You wouldn't need a miracle. But then when it comes, it'll be a blessing. But if you're paying attention to your finances, then you say, okay, like I moved into a new apartment, had to pay a couple deposits. I put on the calendar when they're going to return my deposit. So it is not something, it won't be a blessing, it won't be a miracle. It's a knowing. I know when it's coming. Okay? I know. 6 months. The $300 for the deposit for the electric is coming in 3 months. I mean 6 months. Well, 5 months now. 4 months. I just know it's coming because it's a knowing. And I can plan for it, be ready for it. So calling those things to be not as though they were is true. You do that, but you have to understand this is what we're talking about. You can't just call them into being. That's just the law of mentalism. All right? You put the vibration out there, the thought. That's it. Pete, what's up, Reginald? But the other aspect, if you don't understand cause and effect, those things you're calling into being are never going to be. Ever. They won't happen. Just like it was said earlier, the guy who said it, heck, it might have been you, Keith. Did you say it about... No, that's Why People Why. Just like Why People Why said, Aunt been waiting on that husband for 80 years. Wait. Now let's say she just been going to work, going to church, maybe a few little things here and there, but mainly staying in the house, work, church, house. Unless he's at work, unless he's at church, or he's the UPS man or the mailman, it ain't happening. Now she been shutting down everybody, saying that, nope, I'm waiting on my husband. I'm gonna know when my husband comes. And shooting everybody down. She's violating so many of these laws because she has a negative connotation towards the hope that she's supposed to have. The hope that she has. Now you're not supposed to have. The hope that she has. She's hoping for something that's all miraculous, but it might have shown up at her door. Or if she went and did the things that she enjoyed doing, she might have met him there, which is what I tell people who are single. Go do what you like doing. You'll meet other people who like doing what you like. And you'll probably develop into the same vibration, the same mental frequency with somebody, and therefore here's your miracle husband or miracle wife that's come along. But cause and effect is basically everything happens there. Behind everything there is a causal factor, and because of what I was saying in the law of mentalism combined with the law of correspondence, when you are calling things into existence, if you know what you're doing, you have to know how to do this. It's not just, I'm just going to say it based on my tongue. I'm just going to say it with my conscious mind. But if it's not ingrained in your subconscious, this is the whole purpose of rituals. Rituals are to, whatever, no matter what the religion is or the technique, the magic, whatever you want to call it, rituals are there for you to get something ingrained in your subconscious to the point where the vibration goes out into the mental and the spiritual levels, so that the mental and spiritual level can then affect the matter plane. The mental and spiritual plane can then affect the matter plane, which manifests it. Now, when you're doing this, burning your candles, taking your cleansing baths, and what is it? The moon is in waning now, doing your release meditations during the waning moon and all that kind of stuff. Look, moon phases deal with a lot of things as well that are physical. But when you're doing all this stuff, what you're really doing is training your subconscious mind so that without even thinking about it, you will vibrate in a way that your causal factors will lead you to your manifestation. It'll lead you into meeting the right people. It'll lead you into being into the right environment. It'll lead you into one of the things I want to finish up with, which is bringing order out of the chaos. It'll lead you into all these different things so that your mental and spiritual are affecting your spiritual actions, which manifest your results. It'll manifest your results. If you saw a video I did recently, I told a story of a lady who she stepped away from Christianity. She stopped paying tithes about a month before she stepped away from it. Within 8 months, using that 10%, she paid off her car. Using that 10% from paying off a car and not having a car note, she paid off her daughter's car. And then using that money, again, she started making amortization schedule payments on her mortgage. So it's going to pay her mortgage out faster. It's not a blessing. She just changed her vibration. She changed her frequency. She changed her mental thought. And then her actions changed after that. Now, she had been changing her mental thoughts for over a year. That she had been changing until she finally got to the point where she made a physical change. And then that physical change has made all kind of change, other physical changes in her life. And of course, she looks back and like, man, I should have did this 3, 4, 5 years ago, right? So this is how we combine laws and come into an understanding of them. Let's hit this 7th law, and then we can combine all of them together and definitely I definitely want to take some questions. So the final and 7th law, which I actually did think this is like the second most important law after the law of mentalism, and that is the law of gender. Actually, no, I talk about gender before I talk about the law of mentalism. The law of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has a masculine and a feminine principle. Everything has a gender on the mental, physical, and spiritual planes that manifest as sex. On the higher planes, it takes a different form. On the higher planes, it takes a different form. So it's not just in the form how we are like male, female here on Earth. It's totally different. This is your twin flame. This is your kundalini raising, your, the whole caduceus, the idea of the symbolism of the caduceus. Creation is not possible without this principle. Every male has a female element and vice versa. The principle is beyond the base nature of man. To understand this is to understand all the principles. Thought is masculine in the subconscious. Feelings is feminine in your emotions. Bring them together and you have the harmony. All right? Two forces that come together to create in each law. Now I want you to understand that part towards the end. Your thought is masculine. Your emotions are feminine. When you bring the two in harmony together, this is when you can manifest. This is when creation starts. All right? When you do things based solely on emotions, you usually are going to make a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes with this company early on in the first years of it because I made emotional-based decisions. You guys have heard me say that plenty of times. I made emotional-based decisions. But then I also made some other mistakes because I made purely thought-based decisions. It is not until I combine both the emotional and the thought-based that things start to have harmony in them in their creation. And there is a third, which I alluded to earlier, which is your sacral chakra, which is the sex emotion. Yeah, Napoleon Hill coined that phrase back in the 1930s, sex emotion. And this is the energy from your sexual chakra. You'll hear people talking about sex transmutation, sexual alchemy. This is taking the sex energy up to your heart chakra and into the third eye chakra. Because each one takes a 90-degree turn in order to understand them, which means that there is a full opposing thought that most people won't have. You got to go beyond lust. You have to go beyond just emotions. You have to go beyond just logic and combine them all together. When they are combined, you have harmony, and that harmony allows you to use the law of mentalism correctly. All right, because you're not over-emotionalizing something, because sometimes we over-emotionalize because that's what society says how things should be. It's like a beauty pageant. What would you like to have? World peace? Okay, world peace is never going to happen. But what can we logically expect out of the world for us to be able to dwell at a higher conscious level? It won't be peace throughout the world because somebody is always going to have greed. Karl Marx and Engels talked about that in their book Communist Manifesto, that you have to eliminate greed for communism to actually work. Greed will always be part of the human genome, on the human mindset, on the matter plane. So we'll never get rid of every ill of society, but we can do, when we have harmony in our emotions and our thoughts, we can do a hell of a lot better than what we're doing now. We can virtually, almost on the polarity scale, eliminate poverty. We can virtually, almost on the polarity scale, eliminate hunger, eliminate like 99% of the diseases. We can eliminate all these different things if we were able to come into this harmony. But we fall short of it because we lack the understanding of it. We put everything on a base human level. We have people who say that, you know, the woman is God. Woman, and because she carries the baby. Sorry, other people, I would disagree with some of my my brothers on this one and my sisters, but the fact of the matter is, without the seed of the man, you ain't having nothing. Show me a woman that can produce a baby without a man. Other than a hermaphrodite, it ain't happening. Most hermaphrodites still can't do that. So it's not going to happen. You need both, man and woman, in order for creation to happen. Without a man, without a woman, nobody's having a baby. All right? So we need love, nurturing, and we need the mental thought in order to create anything. Individually, we won't have world peace, but collectively we can, to a certain degree, yes. China bought 100,000 of its people out of poverty. Exactly. And China did that on purpose. Let me tell you what China said. China said 5-6 years ago that we want we want at least 30% of our people, our population, to be millionaires. Now, in order for 30% of your population to become millionaires, that means that you are going to drastically decrease poverty, because that 30% is going to, they're going to provide opportunities and job and work for hundreds and hundreds of millions of people, which is going to bring the whole nation up a level, you know, bring the whole nation up a level. So China is brilliant in that. They've invested heavily in Africa because they see that that's where the next massive world economic change is going to happen. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. They invested in their people. And their government has a Tao-centric mindset, right? They're moving into a Tao-centric mindset of leadership. So, and that's a whole nother video. That one always confused me. They say that the woman is God because every man came from a woman. Well, you made the woman that had the woman, and and see, that's the thing. Like, so we say that, but like I said before, you got to have both male and female in order to create anything. The bee pollinates the flowers with male and female. You got to have that. Without it, it doesn't work. So, good morning, Stacy. You're late, but we can think that all we want to, but you got to have both. So how does all of this work together? That's the big question. See, the law of attraction, as given to you based on, yet they gave them loans, but the law of attraction that they publicize to you in the book and the movie is really just the law of mentalism, because they know that if they told the masses of people that you got to incorporate all 7 laws, you got to understand all 7 of these laws in order for no, I'm not going to stop calling you out, Stacy. You shouldn't be late. And you got to Stacy's the one who prompted me to start doing these Sunday morning shows, guys. And how she late? That's all I'm saying. How she late? How she late? So here's the thing. If I told you that you had to, which I am telling you, that you got to incorporate all 7 of these laws, have a good understanding of all 7 of these laws in order for you to truly manifest things in your life, and that if you did this, you will be like more powerful than most beings on this planet. If I told you all 7 and took you into deep study of it, the masses of people would reject it, because the masses of people like easy stuff. This is why the churches can get away, and the mosque and everybody else can get away with selling you hope. They can sell you with your blessing is coming. That if you just lean on God, lean on the source, that your blessing is coming. That if you just take those negative things and toss them over your shoulder and leave them behind and let God deal with them. If you just lean on God, that your blessings will come. It's on the way. And I seen it. God gave me a message today, y'all. He told me to tell you. He told me to stop by here for just a moment and tell y'all about how he got promises for you. And those promises is on the way. That if you hold on to his unchanging hand, those promises are on the way. Now, if you notice in that, I'm going to leave that alone. If you notice in that, everything is a waiting, everything is a coming, everything is going to be, and everything is, you ain't got to do jack shit to get it. You ain't got to do nothing to get it. All you got to do is just believe something. All you got to do is just have that first simplistic version of the law of mentalism, and your promises are coming. Your blessings are coming. Your way out of your situation is coming. It's always coming. And here's the thing about coming. If something is coming, you're never going to catch up. You will never catch up to something that's coming, because it's always in the future. You exist in the present. So when people say you call it into, like we said earlier, you call it into existence, yes, have a plan for what it is that you desire. Have a plan for it. Have it in your mind. Feel it, smell it, touch it, taste it. Have it, but develop your plan for it. Develop your plan for it. Develop your action steps. This is the law of cause and effect. You see, the law of cause and effect said that you got to know what causes great finances. Here's a clue. Don't spend more money than you have. That's the first thing. Stop spending more than you have. If that means downgrading your lifestyle, if you're in a 3-bedroom apartment, 3-bedroom house, move down to a 2-bedroom, move down to a 1-bedroom. If that means that your kids got to share a room, your kids got to share a room. If that means that a kid got to sleep in the living room, a kid got to sleep in the living room. But downgrade your finances to the point where you're not spending more than you're bringing in, that you have money you can invest, that you have money that you can save, that you have money that will allow you to go and gain more expertise in your whatever applied field you're in. See, the law of cause and effect will tell you that you have to find the causal factor to get the effect that you want. It is not this, I'm going to wait for something manna from heaven. And even if you understood that in the Israelite format of it, the biblical format of it, the manna fell. They still had to collect the manna, grind the manna up, formulate it into a dough, bake it into a bread, and eat it. They still had to do work, is what I'm saying. So you still got to do some work. You still got to put effort into it, which means that you got to vibrate higher. If the lady who stopped paying tithes and paid off her car is vibrating at a higher mental level when it comes to her finances. Then she paid off her daughter's car. Now she's making amortization schedule payments on her house. She's vibrating at a higher level, which is raising her up the polarity scale of wealth. You know, now what her and I talked about briefly is her purchasing tax liens so that she can then have rental properties, which increases her finances, cause and effect, which causes her to have more money to do more things. Now she can vibrate higher, and if she wants to help people, she can help people, which can then satisfy her spiritual mental desires. So, well, her desire for having a purpose. So it's about combining these things into an understanding. And when you're doing that, then you're affecting things on the spiritual and the mental plane. And first you have to affecting on your personal mental and spiritual plane, your personal mental and physical spiritual plane. I've said it 11 times before. I was in a marriage, and we used to go to this group conferencing thing, right? And when we would go to this thing, they used to always say this: we're going to pray that God makes your relationship sweeter. It used to drive me insane. It used to get on my nerves every time they would say this mess. The reason why it drove me insane, because here I am sitting in a room full of people. Everybody in this room is expressing what would make them happier and have a better relationship with their spouse. They're telling their spouse what would make the relationship better. I'm creating the mental picture of what will make our relationship better. I'm telling you the vibration that you need to have for us to make this relationship better. I'm telling you the cause and effects that will make this relationship better. But instead of doing that, instead of you doing your part, me doing my part, you want God to just bless it. Just make it sweeter. You just want to wake up one morning like, oh, the relationship is sweeter. What the two hells? Makes no sense. You should drive me insane. I used to look at them in this group, and at one point when they asked me to talk about it, I just had to let them know this is some straight bull. The fact that you want God to just make it sweeter, you have the free will ability to make it yourself. If I'm telling you that a clean and organized house makes me feel more like loving you, have a clean and organized house. If I'm telling you that I like to take walks when I get home from work with my bride and let's have conversation, just enjoy our day. We ain't talking about work, no business, none of that. We just talking about life and enjoying things, and maybe mentally picturing ourselves on a cruise. If I'm telling you that, Do it when I come home. Don't. I come home and you tired, you sleepy, and you ain't done nothing all day. Even if you have, I don't care. That's what I'm telling you. If I'm telling you, see what's another one? But if I'm telling you these things, or if you're telling me that, you know, hey dude, you done picked up a couple of pounds. You know, I love you, but I'm not liking that 46-year-old little belly there. If you tell me that, and if you tell me that that is affecting your desire to create the sex emotion with me, then I don't need to sit there and say, well, you just need to love me for how I am and just accept me for how I am. I'm getting older. You know, we get older, we gain a little weight. That's not my response. My response should be, okay, bet. Let me change my eating style. Let me get back and let me get into exercise. Let me do something about this, because you are expressing to me what makes you have that desire for it. It is not for me to say, oh God, just please let her just turn the blind eye and see me for who I am and what I am. No, you fall for somebody based on physical attraction, mental attraction, and spiritual attraction. If one changes, the attraction changes. Yes, we can say, oh, you got to be more mature. Man, get out of here with that nonsense. Now, we all have levels. We all have levels. I like them this big, and I like them this small. I like them this big, and I like them this small. If you're over here, not liking it. If you're over here, not liking that either. You know, because if you're over here, you look like a little child. I can't deal with it. If you're over here, it's just too much. I can't deal with it. You know, right here, I'm right there. Now, if you got a polarized swing right in there, we're good. And that's what the law of polarity is about. And the law of rhythm is swinging right there, staying right in that swing. You can't be swinging way the heck out here. If you meet a dude, since women, there's nothing wrong, and there's nothing wrong with a woman saying that I want a man to be a provider. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. And if your level of him providing is here and not way over here, you can deal with swings over here, but you can't deal with a swing that's this big. Then it's okay to say, you need to make 80 and up, right? But maybe yours is like, you need, because if you were with me during the years that I made almost 200, you'll know that I was out of town 14 to 28 days out the month. And there are plenty of women who will say that, look, I love the 200, but you're gone all the time. So if you being home, but you make 120, I'll sacrifice that 80 for you being home. So and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's having a mental picture of your complete mental picture. I want him home, but I want good finances. I want him, I want him to be in good health. I want him to, go on dates. You can list all your things, and the 5, 6 that makes the biggest, that's the most important to you. You focus on that 5 or 6. If a person is vibrating higher or lower, it's okay for you to say that we're not on the same frequency, so we can't do that, right? We can't do that. Now Joe Starr said every able-bodied person should make their own money. Now that's cool for you. For me, I like a housewife, bro. I prefer my wife not work, because it's too much. It's too much going on for that for me. For me, for you. For anybody else who thinks that both got to do it, that's fine. But for me, I can't do it. I don't like it. Never have. Never will. Told you society is responsible for a lot of books. Yes, there is nothing that says 50-year-old man or woman shouldn't take care of they should be taking care of them. I plan on living a long life. I plan on living until I'm about 150 at least. But I'm going to be a healthy 150. I just met a young lady yesterday. Her great-grandfather passed away at 109, but he was in great health and great mental health. I saw Karen White the other day at the airport in Atlanta. She said that she was 52 and she looks 30. I know who Karen White is, but I can't think of who Karen White is. But yes, exactly. You don't have to look or feel or be old, right? All these people, I'll marry you. I can be divorced by months in. I appreciate that. But, see, y'all got me blushing now. But anyway, can you see the blushing coming through all this dark skin? Um, I have a list, right? And I got to remake it because I lost all the files on my computer, so I got to redo it. But I had 25 questions. 25 questions that I will ask every woman, any woman, all right? Coach is the new Stevie J. Okay, I got to look up who Stevie J is. Oh, Karen White, Superwoman. Oh, I knew that. Right. But there's no reason for that. Like, I became 90% vegetarian because I want better health. It's not because, and you know, what I should say is I became that because of the cruelty to animals and blah, 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 blah. No, I just want better health for myself. Plain and simple. I want to live longer, and I want to live longer in a better state of being on this physical plane. And I want my mind to be clicking. So I became 80% vegetarian for those purposes, and those purposes only. You know, and that's my reason, my rationale. But it was all part of my mental creation of manifesting the life that I choose. I had it in my mind how I look. I told you I was standing on that balcony, but when I was on that balcony, I was looking good in that suit. That suit was fitting a brother perfectly, good and in shape. You know, had good movement about me. And I got to have that. So I realized that, you know what, I went back to my personal training days and I said, get back into the mode of eating, get your mind right, get your mind into the mental form of eating that you had before. Once you do that, your activities will start to follow. And it became easy for me after about the third week to go into about 90% vegetarian. Then after, even when I had a slip up and I had like a week of meat, then I would go back to it. It wasn't that hard. But my body started feeling better. My skin started feeling better. I saw more better movement. I realized that because one ankle is higher than the other from a injury in the military, that my hips were out of alignment. So I started spending time stretching and doing some of these stretches that this chiropractor taught me to get my hips back in alignment so that my circulation is getting back to normal, so that everything starts functioning. All of this is for the mental picture of health that I have for later on in life, for my entire life. But it also benefits financially because now I have more energy, more thought, and more clarity of thought because meditation is a big part of it to get myself into that mode as well for doing better business. Because I got to have the money to live on the 30th floor of a condo that overlooks the skyline. You can't do that on $40,000. You got to have more, you know. But I was speaking, which gives me the time that I want. So you got to be able to manifest all these, put all these things together so that your vibration moves you up the right polarity scale. You know, live, love, and learn naturally. You told me your name. I think it's Regina, if I got it correctly. You're 41 years old. You'll be 41 October 2nd. I've had a stroke 5 years ago, and I still don't use that as an excuse to let myself go. Exactly. Reginald's October 9th. Look at all these Libras in the house. Mine's October 15th. It's October 15th. So, you know, $ Lorenzo Reed. That's the Cash App, and that's LAREZOREID. I think I'm gonna put that on Facebook for my birthday. But anywho, great thing about that Regina just said about the whole and this actually is a great idea. I never thought about this. So my Rika, okay, I got you, Rika. My kid's grandfather on their mother's side. This was a man. Love this man to death. Love this man to death. October 1st. Love this man to life. Lived with me for 7 years, but when my grandfather passed away, this man stepped in as my main father figure when I was 15 years old. 14, 15 years old. So he had a history. He went to Korean War. He was born in 1927. He went to Korean War, had some issues from the Korean War. Alcohol, just alcoholic, like a big dog. Smoked pipe tobacco pretty much since he was like 12 years old. You know, I mean, just everything that should destroy the body, he was destroying the body. When he came to live with us, he was 73, I believe, around 70, 73 years old. And he came to live with us because he was like, he had a stroke, and he was like, I'm only going to live probably about 3 years, okay? But when he had the stroke, his mental imagery of his body, because he was a farmer, right? He loved farming. You know, I learned so much about farming from this man, and I used to win Yard of the Month all the time. But his mental imagery was not an old man sitting in a chair, not an old man, you know, just not being able to do things, not being able to take care of himself. Now, he prepared for it. You know, out of his Social Security, he paid for an insurance that would cover him staying at a decently nice home if he ever became to the point where we had to clean him, because he never wanted us to do that. But he thought he was going to live for 3 years. So I sacrificed a company that I had here in Atlanta, and we were going to move back to Europe, but we moved back to our house in Florida. And I was like, okay, well, for 3 years I can do this. But he had this image about his stroke, and he would do those little exercises. Is this side of it? I think it was this side. He would do his little exercises every day. He was getting himself in shape because he refused to let the stroke define his life. And every day he would exercise till he gained back full control of his body movement and his, speaking and everything else. So he refused to accept a mental imagery of anything less than what he decided he wanted to be, right? And at the time he came to live with us, found out that my son Lincoln was, was conceived. Lincoln was born, the other girls being there. He found new life with the girls and wanted to be there for Lincoln, and teaching them how to grow plants and flowers and all that. And his mind then became, I'm here taking care of my grandkids. I'm taking care of my grandkids. He had that mental image, and we would go on dates and everything, and they'd be at home with grandpa. It was great. A man who expected to only live 3 more years, developed a new mental imagery of himself, and he lived like 14 more years. I think it was like 14 more years, because he was 73. Yeah, no. Yeah, 15 more years. So he lived 15 more years because he developed his own mental imagery in his mind. And I'll tell you, out of those last 15 years, only like 1 year was poor physical health. Only 1 year. Mentally, I would go to the home. We were divorced by the time he passed away. We had just recently divorced. I would go to the home and cut his hair and talk to him. And mentally, he was still just as sharp. He was still there mentally, right? And he never lost his mental imagery of how he wanted his life. Even when he was in the home, they had plants. He would still take care of the plants at the home. He couldn't do everything he used to do, but he would still do that. Never let his mind fall into that place where you can't do something, where you believe you can't do something. Because as soon as you do, that's where everything starts changing for you. That's when you die. That's why I like that movie that came out, Tag. They kept quoting, it wasn't, kept quoting Ben Franklin, but it wasn't Ben Franklin who said it. But, you got to keep playing so you can keep living. They kept playing this game as a way to keep themselves youthful. Oh, y'all up here flirting with each other. Right, you left the hospital without being able to use your right hand. My fingers didn't move. After 6 months, I started making wigs with my mom, and it taught me how to sew. Exactly. Was he still drinking? No, he'd stopped. And see, this is what I loved about Pappy Gray. Pappy Gray, he almost lost his family. And when he almost lost his family because he was going in and out of the psychosis of PTSD from the Korean War, the doctor told him, if you don't stop drinking, you're going to die and you're going to lose your family. So that day he stopped drinking. When he came to live with us after having a stroke, and he had taught me how to take that cherry Cavendish tobacco, cut up some apples, and put that down in there and let it sit. And man, that stuff smells so good. But that doctor, after the stroke, told him to stop smoking. He stopped smoking. That day, never smoked, never picked that pipe up again. Matter of fact, I still got his pipe. Right? Never picked it up. Right? He had the mental strength. Well, he just made up his mind. You make a decision, and that's how the law of attraction works. You make a decision, make that decision permanent in your brain, let time and habits develop that support that decision. As those habits develop, they become who you are, and as it becomes who you are, that's your vibration, that's your frequency. Then you will apply that to the pole, whatever pole you're talking about that's changed, whatever pole you're dealing with, you'll start vibrating higher up that pole. So if you was over here in wealth or love or health or whatever it is, or work or procrastination, whatever it is, time management, you'll start vibrating higher to the higher plane of it, the higher understanding. And because your mental plane is now focused that way, you'll start to manifest whatever it is in your life. It is not this just hoping that some pie fall from the sky. It doesn't work that way. Joe Star says, thanks for proving my point. Which point was that, sir? Because there's other comments, and I don't know. You said that earlier. I'm just curious. Not picking a fight. Just curious what point that was. I always like to stay abreast of things like that. Rika said my kids make fun of me for only eating organic vegetables. Vegan. Imagine how much worse I would be. All right, if you didn't, if you didn't. Now, and that's the thing. You change your mental imagery. You change your mental state, which changes your physical state. So all these, when I see people, when I was a personal trainer, I used to tell my people all the time, as soon as we get ready to train, get your mind right. Get your mind right. As soon as they walk into the gym, get your mind right. When I was going to people's houses, get your mind right. Get your mind right. Because if your mind is not right, you're not going to get the results that you desire. It just won't happen. My coffee got cold. It just won't happen. You got to get the mental part right. Once the mental and the subconscious is working, now you got those higher planes of existence working on your behalf. Now that's when serendipity starts happening. If you guys don't know the story of serendipity, you had 3 princes who understood that for the prepared, that opportunity favors the prepared. So they went around what is currently today Sri Lanka, looking for people who were prepared for opportunity, and then they gave them money or wealth or wisdom to help them develop whatever to help them to grow in that opportunity. But they were prepared first, meaning they were prepared mentally and habitually for opportunity. If you're not prepared, it won't matter. My company right now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not prepared for the opportunity of major investors right now. I'm not. It's not. There are still things that I need to put in place, which I'm putting in place, which is why next week life changes drastically for me, because I'm putting some things, so things are finally coming to fruition that I knew needed to happen in order for me to work on my business, not in my business. Therefore, I'll be able to do these other things that need to be in place so that if a major investor were to show up in the next 12 months, I will be prepared for it, to take advantage of it. That's what serendipity is. So if you get your mind prepared, then all of a sudden you start vibrating higher. You start attracting other people and other opportunities into your life. All of a sudden, your reticular cortex kicks in. And you were saying, you were preparing yourself. You want to be a real estate investor. You want to have a rental property. And you talked about it. You mentioned it over and over again. It was words that came out your mouth. But then you started taking control of your finances. You started getting your credit right. Go on the Financial Alchemy, get that DIY program for Financial Alchemy with Coach Rance. But you start getting your credit right. Shameless plugs, gotta get those shameless plugs in. You start getting your credit right. Your credit is now better. All of a sudden, your reticular cortex starts seeing opportunities for you to learn and understand how to buy a tax lien or to get involved with a real estate investment group. Not these little scam ones that talk about some come down seminars, not that crap. But you start, and then like the right books, the right people, all these things start happening. It is not because some major thing is happening. It's because your vibration is like a planet. It's like everything in the universe. Gravity works with everything in the universe. If you truly understand gravity, then you understand the law of attraction. Because of the mental vibration and the frequency you're vibrating at, you will gravitate towards likeness, things that are of likeness. And if you read this book, you'll understand that when it talks about the elemental mind. You'll start gravitating towards like things that are attracted to that same thing, and things like that will be attracted to you. All this stuff is already around you. Every answer you need in life is already around you. Every opportunity you need in life is already around you. You are just not in the right gravity well to attract it to yourself or be attracted to it. You don't have the right elements around you in order to get there. So you have to change your mental vibration, change your frequency, change your activity, the things that you're doing, how you live your life, how you handle your money, how you handle your personal body and all these things, so that you can then see those things and move in those directions, because the opportunities are there. And then once you do and you start taking them in hand, start doing them, all of a sudden it's like, boom, things just start happening. Serendipity. You think it's serendipity, and it is serendipity because you were prepared. You were prepared for it. And now you're able to take advantage of it and utilize it in the best, most positive way for your life. Right? So that's how it works. That's how the true law of attraction works, by incorporating all 7 of the Hermetic laws, but it starts with you. I was told by 3 different fertility doctors that I could not have children, but so always believed that I would have a son. Over 20 years later, I have 3. Cool. And that's the thing. Fertility, a doctor. We put so much stock into doctors. I was going to become an anesthesiologist when I was young. And by the way, yes, exactly, Rika. Congratulations, Keith. I was going to become an anesthesiologist, but I'm not going to be in a surgery room. That's just not going to happen. I wanted to be surgical anesthesiologist because that's where the more money was at. I was told when I was first started to understand that there were 13 levels of death, but an anesthesiologist really understand at that time in the early 90s only understand about 3 different levels of it. But there's about 13 different levels of death. I don't know where they got the number 13 from. Basically, the idea is that we don't understand how life works, is what they were telling me. Well, doctors don't know it all. They don't know everything about the human body. When me and my kid's mom, me and my ex-wife decided that we were going to have children, the doctor said that, well, they told me, we was trying for like 6 months, and I'm Lorenzo. I'm trying. It should happen because I see my daughter, I'm holding my daughter, well, my child, I thought it was gonna be the son. I'm holding my kids, I'm feeling them, I'm smelling them, I'm going to the stores, looking at stuff, I'm buying from them, I'm imagining them doing all these different things, right? I'm manifesting in my mind. So we go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, she's okay, but you, sir, have a borderline low sperm count. So the likelihood of you having children, you might have 1, maybe, and it may take you about 7 years. Here's some things you can do, some techniques you can do in order to produce a child, to manifest a child. But more than likely, you're not. And then I met this Indian doctor. He was like, he told me some other things that were from their culture about the, that's when I learned about when, a woman has this short time of conception. And he taught me about chakras. Well, he added to my understanding of chakras and Tantra at the time. So, but I was thinking, oh, shoot, my idea, my dream, my goal of having, that's about what I was told. That I'll have a 30% chance of having kids. All right? It was about 30% chance. But I refused to accept it. I told the doctors, and we went to a few other doctors, and I told them, I said, no, to hell. After the last one, after the little Indian dude, and we did have one more appointment, I canceled the appointment, and I told the doctor, I don't need to come see you because I'm having children. We're going to have kids. We're going to have many kids we want to have. I don't give 2 rats' asses about what any of y'all say about it. We're going to have some children. So I took that attitude, right? And then I used to talk about my kids. I used to look at other people's kids and be like, my kid ain't going to act like that. See how that joke acting? Damn, mine ain't going to act like that. So we did all these things. When we did all the other physical things, sleep, have her legs up after you make love, and, and all this other stuff, the timing everything, measuring temperatures. We did all these things the first time. And within like 6 months, she got pregnant. She was pregnant. We had our daughter Sydney. And then when we decided, after 3.5 years, she was like, she shouldn't grow up by herself. She needs to have a brother or sister. So we decided we're going to have another one. A few months later, pregnant again. Wasn't even paying attention to anything on my son. Bam, had my son. So I don't accept, when a doctor tells me stuff, most of the time, I don't accept it. All they're telling me is that, okay, here's the situation, here's a challenge possibly, overcome it. And I do it through my own mental abilities and everything, my own mental and physical and spiritual minds. I do it. Joestar, my point about how every able-bodied person should work for their own money. You said that you had a divorce. I'm sure you took a financial hit. You probably had to pay alimony and child support. Yeah, I did, but see, I'm different. I still would rather have a housewife. Now, when I knew that I was getting a divorce, I'll give you a little personal window here. When I knew that I was going to get a divorce, prior to that, I asked my kid's mom, I said, what do you want to do? What do you want to do for what you follow me around the military, and what do you want to do? And she said she wanted to be a school teacher. So I said, okay, go to college and finish your degree. So for 5 years, that's what I did. I stayed there until she finished till right before she finished her degree. She finished. I always tell people, here's the thing about I tell people, you got to understand this part too. Don't ask me a question if you don't want the true answer, because I'm going to tell you the truth. So I told her, this is what I'm doing for you. We didn't talk about getting a divorce because I knew if she said, do you want a divorce? I would tell her yes, and it'll be over. So I knew I couldn't say that because I know me, and I will roll because I'm not going to lie to you. But about 8-9 months before she was supposed to graduate, she asked me the question, did I want a divorce? I told her yes, and it ended too early. It ended prematurely before she was able to take care of herself completely. Even if she would have, I still knew that I would be paying child support. So I then structured my company so that I could pay the child support. And did I know it was going to be $1,340? No, I didn't know that. I did not take the time to get the child support worksheet like I should have. But that's what it was, so what, get over it, that's what it was. So you pay it. But I had set my life, and the way my bank account set up, the way I had set my life up, I took a hit, but the real hit I took is when the fitness industry changed. That's the real hit I took. The second divorce, because I've been through two. Dated a lady, she showed me everything I wanted to see while we were dating, but then once we got married, she changed it, and 3 months later, telling us, let's forget everything that we talked about when we were dating, and let's learn each other now. I was like, that's crazy. But because I started this company, when I was with her, I had to pay her out. Wasn't prepared for it, but it's something that I had to do. I understand your point of everybody should make their own money, but for me, that lifestyle doesn't work. That lifestyle doesn't work. I am very energetic. I have a ton of energy. I can work 12 hours. I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna be like, let's go for a walk, let's go to a movie, let's go out to dinner, let's go bowling, let's go do this, let's go do that. And a woman who's like, well, I can't because I'm tired because I had a hard day at work. I don't want to hear that because I'm not going to understand that. I'm not going to understand. I'm not going to accept it. Basically, I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to accept, okay, let's go. If it's, I've worked for myself forever and a day. If it's Tuesday and I'm saying, hey, let's take a trip up to the mountains, and she's like, well, my boss I'm not accepting that. I don't believe anybody should control my wife's time other than my wife. Plain and simple. Nobody should control her time. That way we can do what we want to do. It's about living life. I'm not living my life for a job. But that's me. That's me. Was there a time where everybody I knew was buying new cars and me and we was driving like 5 and 6 year old cars? Yeah, there was that time. Did we want a new car? Sure. But it was outside of my budget. And since it was outside my budget, my solution was I need to go make more money. And so I went and made more money. Right? So but if a couple is saying that they both want to work and it fits their lifestyle, I'm fine with that. I'm just saying for me, I can't have a two income household. Not in that format where we are trading our time for money. My wife has to, when I marry someone, she'll have 12 months to quit her job. In 12 months, she'll have to quit. If she's not quitting in 12 months, it ain't gonna happen. And I don't care, and especially now. My youngest is 17. He graduates this year. Child support gonna be over. But my youngest is 17. He graduates this year. And I don't want to hear nothing about we can't go somewhere because of a job. No. It's time to live a whole new kind of life. Rika said mothers have the right to be home and raise a kid. And, that was one of my things. Like, we actually delayed having children for about 2 years because of the argument that my children would not be in daycare. It just wasn't going to happen. And the only reason my youngest daughter went to daycare for like a little bit of time because she had an opportunity to work at the daycare on base. And because she was working at the daycare on base, my child was there and she was just working in like the office. She was there when my child was there. She can watch my child. She can see everything's going on. They had cameras and everything. And military is totally different from civilian daycare. I love military daycare. And then her and my child were home at like 3 o'clock. And I didn't get home till 6. So she got time to rest and got time to do. And it was just 3 of us. It's not like the house was messy or anything like that. And so when I came home, we went to the gym. We would go for a walk downtown or walk through the strawberry patch behind our house where the barracks that we lived in, we had time. We took time. We enjoyed time. As long as we can enjoy and take time, I didn't mind. But she had this one job one time where it was taking too much, and I was like, nope, I'm gonna quit that one. Not having that. Yep. And so, and that's actually part of manifesting for me. I piss off women who don't like that, who think that I'm a male chauvinist. As soon as they hear me talking, they think I'm a male chauvinist. They remove themselves. So I'm not going to get trapped in that. And guess what? Emotionally, I'm fine with it. What we talked about earlier, your mind and your heart and your sex emotion got to be in sync with each other in order for you to manifest what's correct in your life. Because if I go just with my sex emotion, then I'm going to take the finest, most freakiest thing. Well, actually, you ain't got to be fine. Just the most freakiest thing that pleases me sexually out of lust. I'm going to take that one, marry her, be with her, and all of a sudden, she's going to be getting on my nerves, and I'll be divorced again. If I take the one that just stirs my heart, that just makes me feel so good and warm and fuzzy, then mentally, she might get on my last nerve, and sexually, she may suck, right? And that just doesn't work. And if I take the one who just, man, she just makes, I'm straight sapiosexual. And she just, man, she inspires my brain. But then she doesn't know how to show affection emotionally. And her sex, and our sex is not that great. I keep saying her sex, but it's ours. It's not that great. It's not going to work. She could be a friend. That's about it. Or a colleague. That's about it. So they need to be in sync. The mind, the third eye, the heart chakra, and your sacral chakra has to be in sync and properly understood beyond just the physical plane of the law of correspondence, just beyond the physical plane and the mental and the spiritual, but all three in sync. So you get it? The sex chakra is your physical plane, heart chakra is your mental plane, your spiritual plane, your mental plane, actually, and your third eye is your spiritual plane. So all three in sync is for creation. Because when your sex, your emotions, and your mind, your thoughts are all together, that is the law of gender creating sex to develop and produce and create. And once creation happens, then it's about maintaining that vibration on whatever polarity scale you're working with. I try to do that without putting my finger on it in a way. What do you say? I almost would know this thing at home, but the times have changed. It was cool with Archie Bunker Day, but again, to each his own. I understand what you're saying, Joe Star. Everybody to each his own. Let's not get into an argument about whether women should stay at home or men should, how that should work. To each his own. And I understand, I used to get the argument that time has changed and finances, this, that, and third. Here's the thing. If you're part of my financial alchemy program, then you know that I put everybody on a 70-10-10-10 budget plan. Eventually, that is the goal, to get to 70-10-10-10 in the first goal. 70-10-10-10 is 70% of your necessities, your rent, mortgage, whatever you got, car note, all the things you have to have, your food, all those things, your bills, your electricity, your phone, all fall under that 70%. If you're spending more than 70% on your necessities to just live, then you're out of sync. Your budget is jacked. Then the next 10% is for play. You have to enjoy your money. You have to, well, actually, yeah, that's the third 10%. But the second 10%, sorry, that's the second 10%. Second 10% is play. You got to enjoy yourself. You got to have some fun. Go to the movies, but you can't spend more than that 10%. So if you make $3,000 a month, that means you got $300 to play. You spend more than that $300 you got the month, that's it, you're done. You better be creative into some non-monetary play. The first 10% is actually investment. You're investing in something that's going to bring you a return on your money. And I usually promote things that are income-based investment that brings you income. And then the final 10% is your long-term savings and spending. Things you want to save for, vacations, a car, furniture, whatever you want to save for. If you get on a 70-10-10-10 plan, and if you acclimate your life to the one-person income, you can do it. You can do it. Now, if you're not making enough money to acclimate yourself to that, then let me not say it that way. I'm not saying it that way. Then go out there and make more money. Take that 10% that you're investing, buy you some tax liens, and in a year you'll have a rental property, or maybe 2 or 3. Find somebody who's running a business pretty well, needs some infusion of cash, gain 5%, 10% of their company, and start receiving income. Create an income-based investment. Don't go for the next fly-by-night little get-rich-quick scheme. Please don't. But create income. You create income, now you can start living off 10%. Now you can live off 70%. Pay down some of your bills. Get rid of some of your, a lot of your bills that you have. Trade your car in. Get you a lower payment for your car. Do whatever you got to do. But get under 70%. You see, when you start vibrating like that, then you can make all these financial issues start to go away. And if you and your spouse are happy living in a 2-bedroom apartment instead of a 3-bedroom, then you can do that. And if you know but if you have a plan for the goal to eventually get into this house or that house, then have a plan for it and then keep vibrating so that you get there. And once you get there, life is great. But you know what that requires? A plan and patience. Two things that most people are walking around this planet without. Plan and patience. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Uh-oh. The Facebook thing messed up. But plan and patience. Most people walk around with no plan, no patience, and they find themselves constantly losing and thinking that it takes all of this stuff. And it really, really doesn't. It really does not take all of that in order for it to work. Sorry, the YouTube feed dropped. The YouTube feed dropped. I mean, Facebook. Let me let you Facebook know that something happened here. But it's worse today. So what I would say, if you want that lifestyle, which to me that lifestyle is going to be more peaceful for you, if you want that lifestyle, then you have to have the time and patience. You have to take the patience to do it. If you were with me in my study of Outwitting the Devil, you know that caution, having a plan before you take actions, and you would know that time creates your habits, and through those habits you vibrate and create your life. If you decide that you want to have that lifestyle that's based on one income, which you should in all honesty, because when your life is based on two, who's to say someone won't have a stroke that they can't go back to work? You know, Rika talked about how she had the stroke, but she got back, on point. What if she would have never gotten back on point and she was married? Now you lose everything? No. Get yourself into a point where it takes only one income so that if something happens, somebody can pick up the slack. If you're living off 30% and you lose your job, you take a 20% pay cut, you're still good. You can still live. You see what I'm saying? This is just good financial management. And don't worry about the Joneses. You want a BMW, but you might have to get a Toyota Camry. Get the Camry. All right? So let's just be smarter with everything. And see, to me, I'd rather come home and we not trying to keep the house clean. It's just already done. She's handled everything. I don't want to pay bills. I want to be like, she's managing. Let me tell you something. When I was married, my wife managed the NEC account, which was the 70%. She managed the play account. She managed the the long-term and short-term savings account. And actually, we were living off 50%. So she had the long-term savings account. She had the short-term savings account. I managed the investment account. That's it. That's the only account I wanted to manage. Just the investment account. The rest of those things, my wife got to manage all that. I don't want to pay no utilities. I don't want to pay the mortgage. I don't want to pay nobody. And the only thing about the fun, I was just like, baby, can we go to the movies this week? Can we take the kids out bowling? Can we, how about we save for what vacations are we saving for? What products are we saving for? That's all I want. I'll ask her. I'll go. I don't mind. I'll make the money, but I'm not managing it because I don't want to have to take that time. I want to deal with it. But the investment account, I'm managing the hell out of that. So that's the partnership, though. So it's not like she's like, oh, because a lot of women, they say, well, I can't do that because I don't want to have to ask you for money. She ain't going to be asking me for money. I'll be asking her for money. But it's not an ask because we just have a plan that we're working together anyway. We're both deciding what we're doing with the play money. There is nothing to ask for. And then the other end of that is that actually, once I started making like way more than what we needed, then I started taking a portion of it and say, okay, here's your allowance for the month. Here's my allowance for the month. This is your go do whatever you want to money. And so the first time I did that, my wife got $500 and I got $500. Then we had the we lived off 50% of what I made. You know, then the necessity was only 50%. And then we had the 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, all the way down through the rest of them. So that 500, I played golf. That's all my 500 went to, playing golf. And I would buy gifts, you know, just play golf. And she always bought stuff for the kids. I used to fuss at her about, stop buying them kids stuff. Right, live your own life. I don't like paying bills. Nope. See, Rika, I couldn't deal with you. Because somebody going to pay them bills. It ain't going to be me. Aw, thank you, Maroon Beauty. Shondell, you always late. It's 11:11. Love them numbers, brother. Start that new journey. 11:11, starting the journey. You know, I think I'm going to do some videos about that. Oh, by the way, this video Joe did. I think Joe was the one who asked me about the law of attraction. So I hope this answers all your questions about law of attraction, the true understanding of law of attraction, of how you got to incorporate the entire, the teachings of the Kabbalion, which comes from the Emerald Tablets of the law of attraction. Even cold, that coffee good. So I appreciate you guys. We are about to shut this down because it is 12:11, and I'm opening the store today. It was beautiful. My employee opened yesterday, so man, I slept like a big dog. I was supposed to get more work done, but I didn't. All right, so we're gonna take any more questions. He arranged payments, but I get to control the rest. He just bought us a car. he just bought us a car. I get to ask. Yeah, and that's how that should work. And I'm digital now. I will put everything on automatic. All my utilities, everything I pay is on automatic withdrawal. The only thing I have to do is put on the calendar. I put on the wall calendar at home, all the way through to next year, what day everything is coming out, just so I'll know. I don't like looking at my account like, well, where did $300 come? You know, I just know it's coming out, and I have an idea as to about what it's going to be. So when I get married, though, I'll be like, hey, wife, here. I'm not doing this anymore. But this is the plan. But if a woman can't deal with my plan, then she's not a good woman for me anyway. So it's just how that works. Because that's my vibration. That's my frequency. And, you know, that's how it's going to be. That's right. Exactly. Live well and go forward in love. But, Joe, I want to know if that answers your question about law of attraction. Because I'm quite sure you asked me that a couple days ago. About a week ago. So, but I hope you guys have understood that and how that works. Thank you, husband. You're so welcome, wife. So very welcome, wife. I hope that answers you guys' questions. I love going through this stuff because it's always... Oh, that wasn't you? My bad. I don't know why I thought it was you, though. I don't know who it was. Hopefully they're listening, too. Keith said, do you believe a woman should follow a man's plan? If the man's plan is worthy to be followed, sure. But if the man's plan is not worthy to be followed, no. You know, when I was in the Marine Corps, there was this one couple, and they tried to exist the same way I existed with my wife. But quite honestly, his plans were never something that was worthy to be followed, so he was not a man, a husband that earned the right to follow. He was not a good leader. So there was no, so I never pushed his wife that she should be led by him because his leadership sucked. Instead of paying bills, he would go buy speakers for a car, you know, and then try to rob Peter to pay Paul to try to figure out how to pay the bills. So he was very immature with his spending and his decisions, and he didn't take wise counsel from anybody. So when she used to complain, I used to be like, dude, you need to learn how to lead before she's going to follow. So it got to be a sound plan. You're not leading with a sound, and not that you got to be perfect, but a sound plan backed by strong emotions that's going to facilitate and make the plan work. Otherwise, no. Quite often, I'm gonna be honest with you, quite often, a lot of the financial decisions that I made during the first 17 years of marriage, I would tell them to my wife. She would point out some things that may or may not be good with them, and I'd be like, you know what, you're right. Let's do it that way. It's about wise counsel. Thinking about buying a program for Christmas to get out of debt. Do you say, damn? No, Shonday, I'm gonna say you should get my financial alchemy program, not Dave Ramsey. Plus, Dave Ramsey is gonna leave you in a situation where you're not building your credit right. And you know, because he's still talking about cash, 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 cash. No, cash, money talks, but credit starts conversations. So no, Shondell, you should go to coachrenz.com/the dash store, and buy Financial Alchemy if you want a program that's going to work for you. Because trust me, it's worked for me, because that's what I did to push up almost 200 points on my credit score, and I've helped a whole bunch of other people start to push their credit score up. So no, I'm not going to say go get Dave Ramsey. I'm going to say you need to get Financial Alchemy from me. So you just woke up? Yep, gotta watch the replay. He did say man. You're right. He did say man. So the man, he's a man, a real man that has a good leadership, then yeah. And if it's a good plan, then yes. But never just make a plan without incorporating your bride. You gotta incorporate your bride. Man, I'm just, if you just making unilateral decisions all the time and you're leaving her out, she's going to feel disrespected. She's going to not feel like she's part of the adult team. You know, incorporate your bride in your household financial plans, definitely. Now, I run a business. Am I going to incorporate my bride into my business plans? 90%. I learned that lesson. I did that before. I'm not. Unless she shows an aptitude for it, I'm not. I might run things past her, but most likely, Maroon Beauty, can I join Navy Federal Credit Union if my father was in the Navy? Oh yeah, you can. Get his DD-214 if you can, or get a birth certificate, get some kind of information showing that he's your father. If he was already a member of Navy Federal, then they'll already have him, they'll be able to look him up. If not, if you got his DD-214 and his birth certificate showing that you're his daughter, then you'll be able to join Navy Federal, and then you can do some of the things that I had told you, that I had mentioned about doing like a pledge loan in order to pump you about 30 to 80 points on your credit score. But if you can't do Navy Federal, then go to any other credit union. Almost every credit union is going to have a pledge loan type program. I just love Navy Federal, personally. $100,000 in debt with a below 500 credit score. I have to come around Christmas because my finances right now are crazy. Oh, crazy emoji. Okay. That's fine, but whenever you are ready, if you go to Dave Ramsey, I'm going to find you in that truck, and I'm gonna flatten your tires, and I'm gonna hunt you down. Nah, just play. We're gonna have words though. Okay, good. You got his paperwork, so you should be able to do it. You gotta go, Rika. I appreciate you guys for being here. I really do. And let me get off here because I gotta open up this door, and I gotta call Kevin to see if he's gonna be on tonight. But y'all have a great evening. I appreciate everybody who stayed with me for almost 2 hours. Amazing. Yay. Great, great, great. Love you guys. Y'all have a great one. Remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.